y'all. Okay. I'm trying. I'm trying. All right. First of all, y'all, please just be sure to like and subscribe to the channel as I try to grow it. Thank you so much for those of you who have and who have been rocking with me for the past few months. I really appreciate it. Okay, so Love is Blind. This was a mess from the gate. Don't do this no more. Don't do this no more. Okay, Love is Blind, season 4, episode 13, the live reunion. The live reunion that was not live and did not happen. Okay, so first of all, by 8:02, I was, refreshing my Netflix. I had it up on the TV, and then I said, "Well, let me check on my computer because, maybe something's wrong." No, then it was 8:08, and then it was like 8:28, and I was like, "Come on!" Like I have a bedtime. Some of us work in the morning. Okay, Netflix. I don't know what kind of jobs y'all got, but I have to get up the same time every morning and be at school. Okay, so y'all work this up, and then it was a damn mess. Now, when I watched Chris Rock live, that shit went off without a hitch. This shit is much bigger, probably the people that were watching Chris Rock. Like, and y'all, Vanessa Lachey and Nick Lachey, I don't know how y'all fucked this up. Netflix, whoever it was, but don't do it no more. Let this be the last time y'all fuck it up. Pause. Vanessa Lachey, I like you, girl. I do. I like the way you read people. I like the way you ask questions because it's respectful, but it's real. But baby, what did you have on? And I was really trying to work with it. I was really trying to work with it because she's pretty. And the outfit, I said, well, maybe I'm not seeing the whole thing. What was this sparkly half ass? Like, how once again, like, how back in the day you had home ec and you had to like figure it out. Now, if that was something you did on your own in high school, now you did that. But baby, you can't be no rich millionaire up here looking at hot ass mess. I don't know whose rack you got that off. And if your daughter made it, you should have said so. Anyway, nevertheless, so we get Tiffany and Brett first. Is it just me? They did not spend enough time on Tiffany and Brett. Can we spend time on the people who I still felt were very entertaining while not being dramatic? I just love them. I love the fact that they love each other, that they found each other, that they're not pressuring themselves to have a baby. Although Baby Brown, I know it's gonna be wonderful because it's made out of love. They moved to Portland. The whole time, I was under the impression they both lived in Seattle. Like Kwame, it showed him in Chelsea, like Kwame talking about how far they are, what are we gonna do, this, that, and the other. They didn't really show that with Tiffany and Brett, and Brett was just like, it was understood she was gonna have to relocate for my job, and I'm really grateful for that. And he said that at the end, and that says something about their relationship, right? They weren't having those kind of back and forths. They were willing to do that for each other, and I just think that's wonderful. And I think it's nice to see two black people in their 30s who have matured and to say, we're still learning each other, loving each other, and we want to have a good life to bring our kids into. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, because this show is an experiment. It's still a reality show. Um, and I'm happy for that. I want that for me. That was just really nice. That was really nice. To see them, but we didn't get much of them. And they were not here for the fuck shit. They wasn't even making faces. Like they looked at each other with love. Like you can feel it. The chemistry, you could feel it. But what they were not gonna do was act the goddamn fool on TV. And I'm mad. That's why I like y'all. But Kwame and Chelsea are still together. I don't believe it. Like I don't. I just, and when I say I don't believe it, like they might be physically living together. They might have a marriage license. I imagine they do. But it is just not. It does not come across as real. It just doesn't. I don't see the chemistry. It's forced. It's just giving roommate. That's what it's giving. She finally met his mother. I'm glad because once you marry somebody, you should meet their mother. Maybe his mom ain't want to look like no damn fool on TV in case it went left. And when they did finally talk to Chelsea at the end, she was like, a lot of people couldn't believe you said yes or whatever. And she was like, women feel the need to explain themselves, to defend themselves. And sometimes you just need to make a decision and stand in that. And Chelsea, didn't I remember why I always liked you at the beginning? before I felt like you were all up in Kwame space and the act of ownership. And it was because of that. Like you were always direct in terms of dealing with people. Like you got Irina and Micah together in that house and never raised your voice about them. People that mistreat people the way they were mistreating people are usually because they're insecure about themselves. Like you, I remember that, and you was just sitting there in your hoodie, like you knew what they was doing, but you didn't get into it. But yeah, I'm not feeling it. Another, okay, then we get Bliss and Zach. Bliss, you are a very, very beautiful woman. You are. But I do not like watching Bliss on my TV. And I'm going to tell you what, she just always looks sad. She always looks like she's about to burst into tears. Like, is she depressed? Like, I just don't. And I'm still a little weirded out that she likes Zach as much as she likes him. I mean, which is fine. Love is blind. Okay, love is blind. But I'm just sitting up here like, I think she feels the need to agree with everything that comes out of his mouth. And something in me feels like she really likes him. Although I think they will be the first actual couple to have a baby, though. If they stay married, I do actually. Um, then true to form, people had to get it messy. Let me tell you something, Vanessa Lachey. I didn't know much about you before the show, and I know you from the Philippines, but ain't no way in hell you can sit here and tell me that you ain't grow up around no black people or a lot of black people. And I'm not talking about just growing up around, like they're your friends. Because the shit you say and do comes off like a sister, honey. It comes out, it's too natural. It doesn't seem forced. That's how I know. And at first I was like, is she Brazilian? Is she have something? Because the way Vanessa Lachey does it, like, you know how you watch some people and you're like, yeah, you're pretending, you're performing what you think is blackness. No, the way she be, Vanessa, you ain't shit for some of the stuff you were asking. So they brought out Irina. You know she got some booze, and you know what? You deserve it. Okay. So the flashbacks were true to her character. How mean she was to other people, laughing about people who were crying. I mean, they were some bitches. Her and Michael both. They were some bitches. Okay. And shout out to Vanessa for calling her out, because one of the things I said about her at the beginning, before I saw the other episodes, the first episode, was that I did feel for her when she said, I used to get teased a lot for my acne, which you could still see on her face, even in the show. And that always made her feel odd. And so Vanessa was like, but then when you were dealing with other people, and let's not forget she's a grown adult now, dealing with other people, the things that you were saying and doing to them, that's what made it seem malicious, because you knew better. You knew what it felt to be like that. And now this was like your turn to be the bully. And that's exactly what you look like. And I'm sure somebody, you sat down with some consultant, you paid, $75 for an hour to help you put that shit together, to try to not act like, because you knew how you came off on TV. I'm sure you was reading them social media comments and shit, and how people were getting you together. No, that's who you are. You were not fooling me. I'm sorry. It came off that way. I was dealing with mental health issues. I had a panic attack. And maybe that did happen. But those kind of things don't make you a bitch. You were nasty to Zach. You were nasty to every girl in that house. Zach was stupid for believing that you would treat him any differently. Period. Period. Zach was not an upgrade for her. For somebody who got teased for having acne, still had acne, gets off on being mean to people in hopes that nobody can get to her first. Like, he wasn't an upgrade to her. And Paul, to me, I'm going to get to Paul in a second. Anyway, so then it gets Zach and Irina talking to each other. I know Irina, that's why I keep messing it up. But Zach and Irina are talking to each other. And Vanessa asked him, do you think that she ever took this relationship seriously? He said no. He said, I'm going to be completely honest, she got on this show to be famous. And I was like, that was obvious to me. That was obvious to me. I thought that about Micah. I think that about most people that go on these shows. Like, I don't think you're just going on there just to go on there. The difference with something like The Circle is, yeah, you actually are competing for money. Not enough to make a fool out of yourself, but you competing for money, or you have a talent. And honestly, yeah, that's the way to get on sometimes. But like, there are people, I do think some people come on to really look for love, and I think that's kind of fucked up. But you need to grow. You need to grow the hell up. So Zach, Irina, and Bliss. So Nick says, "Well, Bliss, I want to get your opinion about what's going back and forth between Zach and Irina." And Irina, he was like, from the time they got to Mexico, Irina had sent Bliss a DM and said, "You dodged a bullet." She was talking nasty about Zach. She didn't want anything to do with him. Everything she did, he was like, she belittled me. She made me feel bad. And we saw that. We saw that. But we also saw that in the house. Hell, Bliss tried to tell you that. But anyway, Nick asked for her opinion, and Bliss was like real firm. She was like, "Look, we've already talked about this. I already forgiven him. I've forgiven you, Irina. So I don't want to talk about it much more after this." And Nick was like, "Okay." I was like, the way she said, "But baby girl, I don't know why you married Zach." But anyway. And Bliss was like, "I hope you can grow from it. I forgive you, this, that, and the other." And Irina was like, "Well, it's not an excuse." And Bliss was like, "I'm not saying that you don't have those issues, but the things you did were still wrong." And they were. They were. They were. You knew it. You know it. And you were trying to clean up your fucking image on TV, and we were not going for it. Okay? We were not. All right? Anyway, and Bliss is up there eating up every word Zach had to say. I think she's attracted to him, but I'm not okay. Anyway, so we get, and not to mention, Bliss is 4 years older than Zach. Sorry, I just think in terms of men and women, I don't believe in dating younger men. Max 6 months difference, and I was older, and I'll never do it again. Just keeping it real. And those things are like dog years. I don't care that he's a lawyer. And I do think Irina was right when she was like, "Well, look, was it Irina or Micah? I think it was Irina." She was like, "Well, Zach is really good with his words because he's a lawyer." And she was right, because I noticed that throughout the reality show. I didn't really bring it up because whatever. But I noticed that too, because some of the stuff he said and the way he said it, I was like, "Oh yeah, you've been trained." And I know, because I went through graduate school. I learned how to use my words really well. I know when I'm not using my words right, and when I'm using them effectively and to get under somebody's skin and make it sound like Irina, you was right about that, but you deserved every fucking thing you got. So Paul and Micah. Now I told y'all Micah is a mean girl. Was a mean girl. And then over the course of the show, because the mean girl contingent was disbanded, um, I think she was forced to kind of get along with other people. Um, but the bottom line is, Michael, you were nasty, and Irina did to you what she was willing to do to any of those young ladies, any of them. But Micah, I gotta still give you what I've always given you. You stay serving looks. I don't even know why you chose red. I don't even think that was a good color for the reunion. But the look you had, you was giving it. And Vanessa brings up, Micah starts crying about how he left her at the altar, how she was hurt. And I'm sure embarrassed. And she was like, "It's been a year, but it's just, hurtful and embarrassing or whatever." And Vanessa brought up when he said, "Honestly, I couldn't see her as the mother of my kid." Now that was the shit. And while I don't like Micah, I think Micah is mean. I think she's malicious. But that was a cruel, fucked up thing to say about somebody. And when she started saying, "Look, my mother didn't even know if she could have kids. She had me. I wasn't able to have siblings, and having a family was really important to me." And I said that. And he never said that. And Micah said, "Paul never told me that. He never mentioned it." And she said, "I only heard it for the first time on Friday." So that was like when that other episode aired, when it was on TV. She said, even though we dated after, he never mentioned that. And Paul, that's a fucked up thing to say. It's cruel. It's a sensitive issue for women. And honestly, even if you couldn't see her as the mother of your child or your children, you should have said it to her privately, or not at all, and just broke it the fuck off. Some things are everything you feel and everything you know is not meant to be said. It's not. Because the effects it has on somebody are harsh and cruel, and you could tell that she was really heartbroken by that. And honestly, woman to woman, I felt for her in that moment. And I would feel for any woman, despite how I may feel about them. So then we get Zach jumping in because him and Paul are. Can somebody please explain to me why the fuck anybody thinks Paul is attractive? This motherfucker can't keep a lineup for shit. He's an asshole. He's like one of them like weird science guys who thinks he's the shit. Who basically act like it was no big deal that he was flirting with Irina, and apparently him and Chelsea were okay with that. I could have told you that shit wasn't gonna last. Anyway, so Zach jumps in defending Paul about him being torn that night and how they had a long conversation, 2 a.m. Just a bunch of bullshit. Okay, Zach, you should say that. He lied to you too. Now, whether he was certain or not, that happens. That happens. But what he said was mean and it was cruel and it really hurt her feelings. Okay? And he said it on TV and he was dead ass serious when he said it. So Micah claims Shelby, they bring up her friend Shelby. Shelby wasn't here for that shit. Micah claims Shelby never wanted to see her hurt. She was just worried about how fast they were moving through it. And she was like, I know she doesn't have a good delivery. But that's not her intent, and or something like that. And I was like, no, she has a terrible delivery because she's a terrible person. And it's obvious. And you're a terrible person, Michael, which is why y'all get along. Get the fuck out of here. So Vanessa asked Zach, she was like, well, since we're on reality TV, we were live, even though the fuck we were supposed to be. He whispers something to Paul. She was like, so what did you what did you whisper? So Zach is a lawyer and he does know how to bullshit. And Zach, I was just like, what the fuck were you listening to when Micah just was talking? He was like, he was like, the thing with Micah is, it sounds like you're out for blood and you're just trying to make him look bad. She did not sound like, and I'm not here for Micah like that, but the bullshit is bullshit. She didn't sound like she was out for blood. And she didn't sound like she was trying to make Zach look bad. And Zach then continued by saying, look, Micah actually said, or he was told by many of the women on the cast, that she never wanted to marry Paul anyway. Bliss was like, well, Micah, look, the bottom line is you and I both know what happened behind the edit. We know the kinds of things you said, and Micah's looking confused. Now, that may be true. I can totally see her saying that. But the difference between Micah and Paul is that whatever Micah said, she was smart enough not to say it on camera so it wouldn't roll back a year later. And Zach was talking about how Micah would be in the car and talking shit about Paul. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. And talking shit about him to his friends is stupid. She's probably drunk as hell when that happened. Bliss, I think you should have stayed the fuck out of it too. While you were trying to, I know you were trying to defend your man, but he didn't need no defending. He jumped in that conversation on his own. Bliss, you and Zach's relationship is weird to me anyway. You are 4 years older than him. You always look like you want to cry. And we know years between men and women, like I said, are like dog years. So Zach said when he would be like in the car driving back, she would talk badly about Paul. He didn't say exactly what she said. Vanessa said who? Who on this cast told you never wanted to marry Paul? So she looked at Tiffany. And Tiffany was quick with it. Tiffany said, I don't know anything about their relationship at all. I said, yes, Tiffany, keep it cute. Leave it on mute. All right. So Vanessa took up for Micah and was like, you know, I know he's saying that you're trying to make him look bad, but I don't think that's the case. And honestly, I didn't think that was the case either. I think her feelings really were hurt. And that is a terrible thing to say about somebody, especially somebody you proposed to, somebody you could have said that to in private. And that's a fucked up thing to say. All right, so this might as well have been the main event. Okay, I don't know why they thought this shit was why they couldn't get the tech together to go live. It's just, but anyway, I'm just gonna say this: Jackie and Josh, y'all ain't shit. Y'all punked the fuck out. Okay, y'all knew y'all was on some bullshit. Cause let me tell you, y'all would have showed up. I think Marshall would have showed the fuck. Honey. So not Jackie still dating Josh. See, I don't follow none of these people on social media. I need to do better because there was a lot of stuff that came up. I was like, oh, I need to look at these leaked texts and stuff, but I didn't because I was just felt like this had all been taped a year ago, and I don't be that pressed. So I was like, not Jackie still dating Josh. Josh is lame to me, and he's unattractive. I'm just trying to look these people up while I got a chance. Apparently Jackie let it all out. Jack. Here she goes. Jacqueline Bonds. Oh, she was just explaining herself. All right. Anyway, um, Josh is lame and unattractive. He just wants to be on TV, but apparently they've been together for like a year. So Marshall had to sit there and watch it. He was making faces, but he wasn't talking a whole lot. She did seem to really like Josh. That's another couple I don't get. Josh talked about how in the pause they showed them back, and he was talking to Jackie, and he was like, "Well, I know your other guy, which was Marshall." He was like, "I know he's romantic and he cries a lot." And Jackie interrupted him and said, "He's soft." I said, "Oh, she said this from the gate." They should have showed us that in the show so we could know, because there was a lot of stuff in Love Is Blind episodes, and I was just like, "Okay, they dragging this out. They dragging this out." Just like Kwame and Chelsea, like what? Anyway, so Marshall wasn't ready. I could tell. But he handled it as usual. He wasn't ready to hear that. Jackie and Josh chose not to be on the reunion and met with Vanessa and met with her via Zoom. Okay? See, this is the thing. You can't be like that on TV and then punk out for the reunion and y'all knew the shit was live. And I don't believe neither one of y'all are that busy in your life. Y'all did not explain to us why y'all could not be there live, okay? So Jackie said, "Well, I've grown within the last year and like I'm a totally different person." Honestly, that's what's supposed to happen in your 20s. You know what I mean? Like she was too young to get married anyway. And so was Marshall. And they damn sure didn't need to marry together. So Jackie said she broke up with Marshall before she met Josh at the coffee shop. So it made her look like a cheater, and she's not. Okay. All right, got it. I do remember telling y'all Jackie looked like she had already packed her shit. Remember when she was waiting on the couch for him to come back from the suit shop after Brett fucked everything up by telling him that Tiffany told him that I can't. So I do remember telling y'all Jackie she had already moved out, and it was just like she was waiting to do that scene that production told her she needed to do with Marshall on TV and moving out of the townhouse. And that she did. So Vanessa called her out and said, in the Zoom interview, she's like, "But by the wedding dress stage," she was like, "you knew you weren't going to go through with it." And she said, "Correct." And I was like, "Well, bitch, which one is it? You had already packed your shit and moved up the townhouse before this? Or you knew you weren't going to go through with it?" Like, something didn't merge, but I'm just saying it's whatever. Anyway, so Jackie's last straw, according to Vanessa, Jackie was like, they were filling out the marriage certificate and he called her a derogatory name. And she said she thinks it was a bad joke and he may have meant for it to be a joke. She said, but I didn't think it was funny. Okay, the first thing I'm thinking, he called her a bitch. He called her a hoe. That's unacceptable. That's what I was thinking. Because I'm going to tell you right now, any man that calls me the B word, calls me a hoe, calls me out of my name, that's it. You don't get a second chance to do that. You don't. Because to me, that means you have no boundaries, and that's how that kind of escalation happens with men who are abusive, so on and so forth. You don't get to talk to me like that. You don't get to be that mad that you call me out of my name. That is something I have never accepted and never will. That to me says everything about a man's character. A man sitting around calling other women that is unacceptable. Now, what men say in private, when it's just other men around, whatever, right? But you should know how to talk around a woman. That to me is mad ass disrespectful. All right, but that's just my piece. All right, so Marshall's face was all turned up by the time she got to the So Jackie said, "Look, we weren't meant to be." And Vanessa said, "No, you weren't, which is why you're sitting next to Josh." I said, "Vanessa, if somebody don't flag you down and go and scene." So Vanessa said, "Well, you kept the ring." And she was like, "Yes, ma'am." And Vanessa started started laughing. And she said Marshall wanted the ring to propose to another castmate. I said, ooh, for some reason, I think there may have been some truth to that. Even if he said it when he got mad, like, fuck you, no, I want the ring and I'm going to propose to somebody else. Kwame, they showed him in the corner and he just looked confused as fuck as to what was happening in that interview, what was being said. He just looked like, what is happening right now? Not to mention they had probably been waiting an hour and a half for whatever live shit to start. So Josh said, he's not the kind to hide. He was like, look, I'm not the kind of person to hide. I'll say it to your face. I was like, but you saying it, he's essentially comparing himself to Marshall. Okay, number one, Josh, you're saying that shit via Zoom when you had the opportunity to come to a live event for a show you signed up for. I refuse to believe either one of you are that busy with work. Y'all didn't want to deal with it. Okay? Okay. Two, last time I checked, if you want to talk about how you say it to somebody's face, but you were listening to Marshall pour his heart out about Jackie, and you didn't say anything until like he had like told you all his business. No, you're not the kind of person that says it to somebody's face anytime you want. So don't pull that shit. Like I said, Marshall ain't no punk. Now I stand by that. Now they live together now. They have a dog and a fish. We don't care. But y'all punked out by not coming to face Marshall. And let me tell you something, Marshall. And don't nothing else give you a boost. You should know. You should know that they know that you know something if they couldn't show up to this shit. So then we get Marshall's reaction, but he doesn't get to do it in live time. And it is hard to remember what somebody's saying because you have a lot of emotions, right? And then it's been playing out on TV and you want to defend yourself. And you can't compete with the comments on social media. You just can't. The TikTok, but you can't. The YouTube review, you can't compete with that. So Marshall, though, by the time they got to him, he was sitting on ready. Okay? So he refuses. He said, I refuse to be reactionary. And honestly, Marshall, I do think you have a lot of anger, but you have sense enough and the ability to channel it when best. And that is best on TV. Anything somebody can roll back and use against you, it is best to stay even tempered like you were or appear to be. But I believe you can get about it. But nope, Marshall ain't no punk. So Marshall said he was, when she said she had broke up with him before the coffee shop, and he was like, yeah, I mean, like, what? So a day or two apart, you kissing a new dude? He said that still hurts. You know what I mean? It's not technically cheating, but yeah, you have every right to feel away. You have every right to feel away. You have that right. Although I think men have completely different standards than women are allowed to have. Well, technically, I wasn't with you when I did it because we broke up. Like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, just like women have a reason to feel that way, so does he. So Marshall said, I think we would have made it to the altar. And Nick Lachey, Nick Lachey goes, did you really think this could have worked out despite everything? And Marshall was like, I still don't know what I would have said, but we would have definitely made it to the altar. Okay, so you would have gone through it for the show. Marshall, don't play. Don't play. Both of you and Jackie was on some fuck shit. I still think y'all could be like homies though for some reason. I really do. So Vanessa asked about the derogatory comment he made. Thank you, Vanessa. Don't let him skip over stuff like that. And he said he knew what it was. He knew what she was referring to. And I'm sitting up there. He's rambling like Irina was out there rambling like, I know, understand people, don't think this about me, but I'm really not like this. Well, I mean, I know I said something that I shouldn't have said. Okay. Motherfucker, tell us what you said. So some text from Jackie to her friend leaked. I didn't see that shit. I wasn't that pressed. And maybe I need to look it up. But anyway, Jackie's comments to him basically said he was sweet and implied, they didn't mention on the show that he was gay or whatever. No comment. Okay. And he told her, he was like, you have a strong I'm sorry. He said you had a strong jawline. I don't know. For all I know, you could have been a man. I don't know why it was funny to me. Okay. Now see, this to me seemed more like they were jabbing at each other. Like, okay, boom, you call me sweet. You got a strong jawline. But the thing is, women are very sensitive about their looks because we're constantly judged by them. Period. And Jackie is absolutely gorgeous. Period. I don't think that's even up for debate. I'm not willing to put that up for debate. She is a beautiful woman. Okay. But at that point, okay, you had called him soft and kind of weak. He probably had been trying to finger that one for a second. And it was disrespectful. But a piece of me feels like, yeah, but they're in their 20s. He said he took things too far. He said he didn't use a derogatory term, and I think they were talking about the T word. And they did. But to me, while you filling out your marriage certificate, why were y'all even filling that out? If you thought he was sweet, Jackie, why were y'all filling that out? Honey, okay. All right. Well, y'all got y'all's 15 minutes. So then Vanessa asked about the ring. Marshall, the bottom line is asking for the ring back is tacky. It's tacky as fuck. Period. Nope. No, sir. So he said the ring was a symbol of their love. And he said he asked for it back, not because he would plan to propose to somebody else, but because it was a symbol of their love and he didn't feel like she deserved to keep that part of him. But it's still tacky. Marshall be a man. So Marshall did start dating a woman from the pods. He said he only went on a date. He was like, well, define dating. He said apparently her name was Keisha, whoever that was. I don't remember her on the show. So Keisha reached out to him because she felt bad about Jackie breaking up with him in the way that apparently had played out before we even saw it on TV. He said he just really wants the you versus me, Jackie versus Marshall to stop. The thing that died. And he said he just wants to let it go. She's in a relationship with another man, just let it go. And so they asked him about, this interview being Zoom instead of being live. And he said, I feel slighted. I feel slighted again, just like I felt slighted on the show, by her and the way she was treating me and not showing up and that kind of thing. And Vanessa asked a good question, though. She stopped him because Marshall, let me tell you something. Marshall is very calculated. Marshall, I see you. I think you one of them motherfuckers who act nice and get crazy 2 months in, like crazy, need to call the police on his ass crazy. That's just the vibe I get, okay? But Vanessa asked him, she said, well, did you consider Jackie's feelings as well? That maybe this just did not work out for her. Maybe there were other things going on for her. So Marshall said, yeah, I consider that. And it's been about a year, I'm sure he had time to think. But then Marshall, this is where you fucked up. So Marshall said, look, the public, I just want to say this to the public. So he gonna leave off from Jackie. It says, y'all need to let it go and forget about it. Like, it's been over a year. We've moved on, da 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 da. First of all, I can tell by the way you interviewed on this thing, you're not over it. 2, that's what happens when you on reality TV. We can go back and watch seasons 1, 2, 3, although I didn't watch 3, and 4, and play y'all's lives back. Y'all chose to do this. So don't get mad when everybody else is finding out about a year later. That ain't our fault. Yeah, we watching and we gonna judge what we see. Chill. So anyway, they do like the married, like what's happening now. Both Brett and Tiffany they just look so happy together. They look so right together. I'm happy for them. Was it just me or did they both look like they lost weight? I think because they're happy and stuff. Tiffany looked great. I think Brett may have lost too much weight. Like, I want him to go back swole. Okay, but that's not my man. Damn. Anyways, Chelsea and Kwame's apartment. Let me tell y'all something. That condo, whatever they had with that view, was everything. It was everything. Okay? And them having their own bathrooms, that is my worst fear. I want to be able to do my business separate. Good advice. Thank y'all for that. Was it just me? Did y'all catch in the in the small camera how Brett was looking like he was judging them? Like he turned his face up a little bit, and I said, Brett don't hate. The same way he was a little caught up when Kwame had that picture of him and Chelsea on the phone. Brett gonna go out and buy Tiffany a house, okay? He don't like to be shown up by no other guy when it comes to his woman. And you know what? I saw it all over your face. And you know what? I can appreciate that level of competition with a man. Anyway, so then we get Zach and Bliss's house. We just spent too much time on them. I'm sorry. I didn't find anything about them that fucking interesting. So Zach was singing to Bliss at their apartment with their dog. Bliss must really like him. Because first of all, there was nothing about those notes that were hitting. He's like, I think he believes he can sing. And Bliss, you're not helping it. Like you're just like, yeah, yeah. Are you for real, girl? Like what is happening? Baby. Okay, you no, just you don't even have to be mean. Just kind of ignore it when he does it so he'll just stop. Okay? So anyway, they're with their dog. It sounded terrible. Micah and Irina's mean girl side, it popped back out. We were feeling sorry for them, but when he got to sing, Tiffany managed to just keep it. She a good one because her and Brett, they kept it together. They ain't worried about nobody but each other, and that's why they gonna be all right. But they're mean girl side. But I was sitting up there like, and then Nick Lachey, with your lying ass, go, yeah, it sounded real good, Zach. He was waiting for the audience to laugh. You ain't slick. So they talked about, and this is when I was talking about Chelsea. They asked Chelsea why she didn't say no, and Kwame, his name is Alex Kwame, but he's gone by Kwame. And he went by Alex for a little bit. And he said, well, I was talking to the producer at first and how he didn't really want to talk about race and that kind of thing early on. And he felt like his name would indicate, Kwame would indicate, who he was, and people would prejudge him for it. And he was like, that reaction is problematic. People were upset about it. He was like, just know I represent. I'm proud of my name and my heritage. My thing is, saying your name is Alex was to make them, i.e., anybody non-black, believe you weren't black. Now, you're not African American. Okay. You Canadian. That's fine. But you black. Because you know that you are going to be prejudged. My question to you, Kwame, is why would you want to be with a person who could hear your name was Kwame and immediately dismiss you? Now, on a job application, I understand because that's to do with your survival. But when it comes to your personal life, as far as love is concerned, I wouldn't want to be with somebody like that. You can accept it or not. My name is Salah. It comes from the Bible. You can look at the Psalms, you can see Salah over and over again. And it means to pause and reflect. It does not mean amen, but a lot of people think that. Psalms are songs. And at the end, David will put Salah. And it means to pause and reflect. Okay? In Hebrew. Thank you. But anyway. But that's my name. And whatever comes with that, comes with that. But that's my name. And I'm very proud of my name. And I just would not want, and I ain't sitting here like white people haven't consistently made snarky, snide remarks. Black people too. My whole life. And now I've gotten older where I stand in it and I check people. I didn't used to do that. I was kind of timid about it. But as a grown person, I'm going to need you to own that. And if you have kids, you're going to need to teach them how to exist in this world. And being ashamed of who you are is not a good thing. And wanting the acceptance of people who reject you, Anyway, nevertheless, apparently there's an ultimatum for queer people. I never watched that show. It just looked a mess. I know it was a show before. I think A Love Is Blind for queer people might be interesting. I think it might be just, for those of us who just don't have that window on a regular basis. I'm sure gay people get tired of watching straight shows. So, I'm all about spreading the love, but the ultimatum just looked whack as fuck. All right. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all soon. Please be sure to comment, just be respectful in the comments. Like, subscribe. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.